Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another Pinal Prep Spotlight brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. Continuing on the trend from last week's show, we're going to give you guys a quick breakdown of what's going on with the 3A basketball tournament. Both the boys and the girls, which kicks off this week. Starting off with the girls tournament, they play on Tuesday, and we have two teams in Coolidge and ALA Ironwood. Ironwood just barely managed to sneak in at number 22, and they will be traveling to number 11, Tucson Sabino. David, how did the Warriors get here?
Well, the Warriors got here basically by going just under 500 and were able to scrape into the tournament here. But basically, the people to watch for is low-end Billion. Low-end Billion is she's been the main point for that team basically, and she's had a great season, 24.5 points a game averaging. So this is a conversation that we've had many times on this show, is that can these teams find supporters for those stars? And I think that's the big question for Ironwood going into this game against Sabino, because Sabino is going to be a tough draw in this first round matchup. You know, they won 20 games this year, so they're a tough team to beat. But in my eyes, the Warriors are going to do what they always do. The Warriors are going to fight. They are a scrappy team no matter what the sport is they're playing, and they're going to play just like that. So expect Billen to be a huge part in this team, and see what happens in this game against Sabino. So we'll see what happens, but expect them to fight and try to put on a good performance against a tough team.
David mentioned it here. Who can help out Billion? You know, you don't want to be a one-trick pony where opponents know what you're going to do. So far this season, Billion is averaging 24.5 points per game, and their second leading scorer is only averaging 9.1. So we know Billion's going to get the ball. David mentioned it. Who can step up and help them? Talking about Sabino, this team is very battle-tested. So far, they are a 13-3. They have a 13-3 overall record in power rankings, and the big thing here is they are battle tested. They played 5A Nogales and Cienega, two teams that are in the top 16 in the 5A conference, and beat both of them. So this is going to be a very tough task for the Warriors to see, not just making the trip down to Tucson, but what they can do about it. Our other game is Coolidge. They are hosting, as a number 15 seed, they are hosting number 18 Yuma Catholic. David, what do you know about Coolidge?
Well, first of all, like Sabino, Yuma Catholic is also a tough matchup in any sports they play. They're always scrappy and always have pretty good teams put together no matter the sport. So Coolidge, again, kind of drew a tough matchup here. But Coolidge is, like you said, they're a really strong team here, and they are led by Brooklyn Pablo. She scored 17.9 points a game in the regular season. But obviously, Pablo's going to be great. But I say you watch out for Anaya White as well. You know, she's scored just under 10 points a game. But her and Pablo averaged 7.5 rebounds a game. So they're both really good rebounders, and they're able to capitalize on missed shots with the opponents and get their team back on offense. So that's going to be the real dynamite pair between them, the 1-2 punch for Coolidge, and they can do some big things, and they're paired well together, and they're score well. So it's really going to come down to, can they score and can they play defense and keep that rebounding numbers up as well. So like we talked about, Yuma Catholic is always going to be tough in this matchup here, but Coolidge is playing home. They'll have the home field advantage here, and they'll be able to play on their home court. It's familiar to them, so expect Coolidge to come out here trying to win this game and move on and try to make a deep run in this playoffs.
So David mentioned it. I've always said when we talk about Coolidge, we have to talk about Brooklyn Pablo. Her last two games, she put up 80 points combined. Her last game last week, she put up 50 against Globe. Pablo is getting hot at the perfect moment, and as David mentioned it, Ania White, a fantastic addition to this Coolidge team and helping Pablo out. But also you have to mention Chelsea Downs and Amira Miguel. These four do a fantastic job of passing the ball around, and they each bring a different skill set. We know what Pablo can do. White, a fantastic rebounder. She leads the team. And then you have Chelsea Downs, who's not that far away, good inside the post, and Miguel, just a freshman, and already having an impact on this Bears team. For, where are they playing again? Yuma Catholic, so far they are on a 9-game win streak. They have 3 players averaging in double figures. Also, Ryan Martinez, 10.3 rebounds. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Bears do to slow down this trio. Jumping ahead to our Wednesday matchups, it is in the boys tournament, and we have 3 teams, starting off with number 21, Santan Foothills, making a long drive up to number 12, Chinley. David, how did Foothills manage to sneak in here?
Well, first of all, the SaberCats have had a huge turnaround in this season so far. Last year, they only won 2 games. Going into this year, they've won 12. So, first-year head coach Jeff Thomas had done a really good job with this group and kind of relying on their strengths. And their biggest strength is Joel Becerra. He's the go-to guy for them. He has been all season. 25 points a game for him in his senior year, so expect Santan Foothills to rely heavily on him. And the SaberCats will have to find support elsewhere, like we talked about before with some other teams. They need to find some support for their big-name guys like Becerra. So Santan Foothills is no different here, but even if this game doesn't go the way they thought so, because Chinley is obviously a tough team going 20-8 this last year, but this is still a great stepping stone for this team. And although they can play really well, so it's just going to have to come down to what they do in this tournament. So they did a great job this year, and if it ends tonight, or ends on Wednesday, I think it'd be a great season altogether. But expect them to rely heavily on Becerra and possibly cause for the upset.
All right, now for Chinley, they are shooting 45% as a team from field goal. This is a pretty crucial key here for them. In Javis Woody and Kylan Yazzie, both of them averaging double figures. Woody is 12.3 points per game and Yazzie 11.4. Like David mentioned it, who can help out the SaberCats while Chinley has, those additional guys to help out their main star. Our number 18 team is Florence, also making a long drive up to number 15, Kayenta Monument Valley. David, what about these Gophers?
They're a really good team. They went 16-10, which is a pretty decent record for these Florence boys. And the conversation has to start with Brandon Farley for me. He's 17 points a game this year, and in my opinion, he's one of the best shooters that Pinal County has. He has just a really solid, fluid stroke when it's shooting from the three-point line. He's one of the best shooters I've seen so far in this county, and I think he is obviously going to be the main guy that they want to get going in this game, because if he's able to get going, they are tough to beat. But if he's not shooting well and the ball's just not getting into the hoop, there could be some problems there. But going up against Monument Valley is going to be tough. The team has, Florence has a tendency to get off track sometimes, especially if Farley is not being able to connect as much from three-pointer. But if he is playing well and the supporting cast is able to help him out, they could become a huge matchup and a huge game changer for this tournament. So I expect Florence to go out there and put out a hard fight, and we'll see what happens at the end of the game.
So it's not just Farley for the Gophers. We've mentioned it before. They're kind of they've kind of had 2 different teams this year, the first half and the second half. Second half, they kind of redid their rosters, a lot of freshmen and sophomores. Have to point out Darren Swain. He has only played 16 games so far for the Gophers. He's their leading he's one of their top 3 leading scorers. He's shooting 46% from the field and 48% from 3. David mentioned Farley. Look for this guy to also be a threat. So, hey, if you're covering Farley, you can't really leave Swain open either. And then also Junior Johnston, 50% shooter from the field. Coach David Silvas has done a fantastic job of bringing in these young guys and having them make an impact right away. So it's going to be interesting to see what this 9-9 Gophers team can do. And maybe like David mentioned, they could come away with the upset. And our last team playing on Wednesday is number 16, LA Ironwood, hosting number 17, Queen Creek, Benjamin Franklin. David, what do we know about this Warriors team?
They're really interesting, actually. The Warriors, while they have a good amount of seniors, they also have a lot of their best scorers are juniors and younger. So Corey Wood and David Orlando are the 2, top scorers of this team, and they're juniors. So not only is this team built to win now, but they're also built for the future as well, because they got a lot of juniors like those guys that are going to be seniors next year. They got some younger classmen like freshmen and sophomores, too, that are able to produce for them this year. So they're built to both win now and the future, and they obviously want to win now. So, the last time the Warriors played Benjamin Franklin, they won handily 78-47. So expect that to be a huge game changer for them. They don't want to have the result be different for the Warriors. They want to go out there and win again, just like they did in the regular season. So, it could be more of the same on Wednesday, especially if the Warriors are able to keep their momentum and they rely on their best scorers like Wood, like Arolado. It should be a good game here, and I'd expect the Warriors to move on possibly in this good matchup, this rematch from the regular season.
So, I've had a difficult time trying to figure out this Warriors team. I mean, when the second half of the season started, they got a big-time win against Thatcher, who was one of the top 10 ranked teams at that point. But then they've also lost to struggling Florence and Santan Foothills as of lately, so I don't really know which Warriors team to expect for this game. It could be the same one that David mentioned that handily beat Benjamin Franklin the first time around, or it could be the one that played last week and lost to Santan Foothills. With that being said, Andy Allen and Corey Wood, the two big guys for the Warriors, have a lot of length. The difference here is that Corey Wood is a really good outside shooter. He's their go-to three-point guy, and for Benjamin Franklin, look for two guys in Garrett Jones and Sterling Rice to do most of the scoring. And with that, one final team that did make it, but they get a first-round bye because they are the number 2 seed, is the Coolidge boys team. They will be hosting on Saturday, and the winner is still to be determined, but they will be facing the winner of Florence and Monument Valley. So this might be another incentive for Florence. It's like, hey, if we win, we get to go up against our rivals. But focusing on Coolidge, David, how did they secure the number 2 seed?
Well, they secured it by being one of the best teams in 3A. They went 24-2 overall this year and ranked second, like you said. So they had players that finished in the season with 10 or more points. They had 4 of them all together. But the two guys that I want to focus on are Braden Gant and MJ Clegg. Those two were the top guys for them, 17.8 and 13.5 points this season respectively between the two. Not only are they great scorers, but Clegg and Gant were the number 1 and number 2 in rebounds as well. So it's a common trend here. Great scorers also means great rebounding a lot too. So this team is deep. They're talented. They could be a huge threat to make a long run to this championship tournament, and I'm expecting big things from them. And like you said, it'll be interesting to see what happens in this first round, because we could be getting a Pinal County rivalry match here between Coolidge and Florence, or they could be facing a completely different opponent. So if it does become Florence, that could be a huge game changer for Coolidge, because they already know that team so well and they know how to beat them. So we'll see what happens in the first round, but for now, Coolidge gets to sit back and relax for a bit before they get going in the second round.
All right, so the eye-opening stats here is, as a team, Coolidge is shooting 49% from field goal. Carlos Coronado, Josh Pratt, Drew Madrid, other guys who can come up big, make some big shots from beyond the arc. Overall, I think Coolidge is our best all-around team in Pinal County, aside from Maricopa. And it's going to be interesting to see how deep of a run these Bears could do. Real quickly, I do have to point out we have 2 other playoff teams happening. On Wednesday, the 4A Girls Conference is still going on. Poston Butte, number 12 seed, is heading up to number 5 Flagstaff. And then on Thursday, Maricopa will be traveling to Basha. And with that does it for Pinal Prep Spotlight. Be sure to check out Pinal Central throughout the whole week for all of your playoff coverage.